Thank you very much for joining us this evening. My name is Dr. Patrick of Singer Live in London, and I'm happy to introduce you to Mr. Taddeo Rusoke. Taddeo Rusoke is live in South Africa, in Pretoria. Hello, Mr. Rusoke, how are you?
Yes, but friend Dr. Patrick, thank you so much for giving me this pleasure to feature on U10's My Life show. I'm live from Pretoria. Well, it's a wonderful evening here. I'm really grateful being part of this global show. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much for accepting this opportunity. I know you're very, very busy doing a lot of research down in South Africa. How did you end up in South Africa? Could you tell us a bit what's happening and the kind of work you do?
Thank you so much, Doctor. Like he introduced me, I'm Taddeo Rusoke from Uganda. Well, I have been in South Africa here for the last 6 weeks, and I'm doing research on tobacco control. But way back in Uganda, I work as a tourism consultant, an environmental lecturer. Then I'm also a conservationist. Then I also do some bit of charity through my NGO called the Rusoke Research and Children Charity. But the main reason why I'm here in South Africa, I'm doing a research fellowship on tobacco control at Sefako MacArthur Health Sciences University in Pretoria, formerly known as Medical University of South Africa. So I'm basically here for a research fellowship, and we are trying to do research on tobacco control in Africa. Thank you.
So you're doing research on tobacco control in Africa. Is tobacco a very big problem in Africa? What is the issue about it?
Well, tobacco is really a very big challenge in Africa. And way back in Uganda, where I come from, we have quite a number of tobacco farmers, and tobacco use in Africa is linked to several non-communicable diseases, especially those which are cardiovascular in nature. So it is really a very big threat to the public health. Governments spend a lot of money on trying to treat tobacco-related illnesses, yet the returns from tobacco majorly go to the industry. So it's really a great concern. It's a great concern for us as researchers to try and come up with the evidence to protect lives of ourselves and those surrounding us.
Wow, that is brilliant. That's amazing. So you're one of those people working hard on the African continent, focusing on the conservation of the environment, focusing on the conservation of the what that exists, and including the human beings that are not going to be engaging in some of the things, or cultivating or trading some of the things that are going to make the situation worse. So that is the kind of research you do. And you as well talked about being a tourism consultant. What does that involve?
Well, with tourism consultancy, actually I teach tourism at Nkumba University. Then I also have an online tours and travel agency under my charitable organization, which I told you, the Rusoke Research and Children Charity. So whenever I do tourism trips, I save some little money to help and support children, especially those in disadvantaged communities, in orphanages, schools, etc. So some proceeds of the revenue I raise from my tourism services go to charity.
So what kind of children do you help, and the kind of problems they experience? You've talked about orphanages. Could you, because some of us might be watching you from the United States, for example, from the UK, from Australia. We've never been, or some of us have never been to Africa. Could you describe to us what's happening with those children and the kind of challenges and how you're going to help?
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Patrick. Basically, for now, I can say my research organization, or the Children's Charity, offers scholastic materials and a few other items which are given from friends in terms of donations. then we'll just pick any orphanage at random or any disadvantaged children center. We deliver these materials basically, maybe most times it is around Christmas season or Easter season. So we are open to donations from wherever, all over the world, etc., as long as someone is having something to offer. And my special interest is on supporting children, especially the girl child, because as you know, some of the great men like the late Nelson Mandela said, education is one of the major tools you can really use to transform society. And if we must support as Ugandans, if we must support as Africans, it is important to start by ourselves, not to be started by others. So it is me and you and maybe any other of the viewers who are viewing us who could offer something which they will have at their disposal to try and help the children, especially, like I said, in orphanages and other disadvantaged communities, maybe to be able to access and afford at least basic education. Thank you.
So what are the socio-economic issues? What are the things that lead those children into orphanages?
Well, it's quite a number. It's quite a number of things. And one, as you know, Africa has been plagued with HIV/AIDS as an epidemic. Many children have lost their parents, have lost their guardians, so we have very many orphans who need help. Then that could be one of the major driving forces. Actually, it is one of the major driving forces which is increasing the number of orphans in Africa. Most of these children have lost their parents, their siblings, guardians, etc. to the HIV/AIDS cards.
And I believe so. You have disease, possibly war, because I visited some of the orphanages in Uganda, and some of those children have been displaced because of war, because they've lost their parents. Both parents and at an early age, they cannot stay in their maternal home by themselves, so they end up in orphanages. Some of them is natural events like landslides. At one point there was landslide somewhere in Bududu, eastern part of Uganda, and again those they do display as well those children. So what are the conditions like in those orphanages? Just to give us a picture of what's happening.
Well, I could say, as you know, like we have already defined it as an orphanage. The conditions are one thing. I can say these children need to be helped in terms of, like I said, access to basic education in terms of scholastic materials, then clothing, shelter, and as you know, the economic situation is also biting in most of our African countries. So basically the basic needs will be, they need maybe to have some shelter, they need to have some maybe beddings, they need to have some reading materials, scholastic materials, and maybe meals, at the same time meals, because in some of these orphanages which I have visited, you really find that it is even difficult for the home caregivers to really provide the 3 meals which will be required for anyone to take in a day. So it is a very big challenge because most of these orphanages are either privately funded or they rely on donations. And I don't know if there could be others which are supported by government, but most of these are relying on donor fundings and gifts from people who are willing to sacrifice maybe 1 or 2 shillings to give these children a better life. So the challenges basically are on the basic needs which any human being would want.
Well, thank you very much for sharing that, and hopefully our viewers will have a chance to, we will use this to be able to, if they want, they can connect with you. How can people connect with you if they want to support that charity that you use to provide some of these basic needs to those children? How can they get in touch with you?
Basically, I do my work from around Nkumba University. So my main address is Nkumba University, Entebbe, Uganda. Then maybe after the interview, I could share my email address and maybe some telephone contacts. But my main address is Nkumba University, PO
Thank
Box
you.
237, Uganda.
Thank you very much for sharing that and for that concern for the children living in orphanages, for children who have been displaced by war, disease, natural disasters, and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you've just joined us, this evening I'm talking to Mr. Taddeo Rusoke. He's live from Pretoria in South Africa, but his main home is Uganda, and he's a conservationist. He is a tourism consultant. He is a lecturer at the University of Nkumba in Uganda. So, looking at your journey to where you are now, how did education help you to change your life?
Thank you so much. Well, I spent 23 years of my life in a rural village that is somewhere in Butiti sub-county in Chenzozo district, Western Uganda. And when you compare our education systems in the rural areas versus the urban centers, it is quite challenging. And quickly, I will first go through the schools which I attended. Then I can try to paint the picture of how education has changed my life. And I believe it will give a good impression to our viewers on how really it is important to give education as a foundation for better lives and maybe society development. Well, to start with, I started my education career way back in 1993. That is at St. Augustine's Butiti Demonstration Primary School. I schooled there for 8 years. That is including 1 year for nursery. Then I joined O-level at a school called Maddox Senior Secondary School, still in Chenzozo district. Then I went for my A-levels at Nyakasura School, that is in Fort Portal, one of the great schools in Western Uganda. Then from there, I joined Nkumba University. From 2006 up to 2009, I did my first degree in wildlife management at Nkumba University. I also did my master's degree at Nkumba University, that is in 2012 to 2011 to 2012. That is a master's degree in environmental health. Then I'm currently doing my PhD at the same university, but right now, like I said, I'm for a research fellowship at the Medical University of South Africa. Well, now, to explain much more better on how education changed my life, it has not been a straight path to be where I am today. Well, great people say that I may not have achieved what I would like to achieve, but at least I'm better than where I used to be before. So to me, that is very important. And my education actually, right from primary to completing O-level studies, it was quite challenging since for primary school, I had to walk 2 kilometers every day to school and 2 kilometers back home. So I used to walk barefooted, whether it has rained or not, for 4 kilometers each day to attend my primary schooling. Then when it came to doing O-level studies or ordinary level studies, the distance increased even more. Actually, it tripled. So this time around, I had to do 6 kilometers every day to attend school. Whether it has rained or not, you really have to walk to school. You must keep time. If you don't keep time, then sometimes you have to be punished for not keeping time. Teachers will never want to know the conditions you have to go through. And we have a very big river in between those schools. Whether it has flooded or not, you really have to attend school. So it hasn't been easy, but all in all, when you remain focused, determined, etc., at the end of the day, you can achieve your dream. Well, I never thought at one point that I would become a lecturer. So at 25 years, I started my career as a lecturer at Nkumba University. And actually, this coming October, I will be making 8 years of university teaching. So I started teaching at 25 years. and now I'm 33, so I have really thought for about 8 years, and it's quite interesting. But what I'm trying to bring out in all this is that no matter the family background, where you come from, the challenges you encounter, at the end of the day, if you remain focused and determined, then definitely you can achieve your goal. So whenever I tell my colleagues about my story, my life story, walking to school, barefooted, putting on shoes was a luxury. It is the fruits of education that have now enabled me to be on flights, because actually this is my second time in South Africa. So I'm just traveling because of education, and my research fellowship is funded by the African Center for Tobacco Industry Monitoring. But had it not been for education, maybe I would have gone back in the village. Well, I don't know what I would have been. But what is most important in all this, how education changes your life, it is the society which we come from, and maybe the cooperation from the different people surrounding us, right from our siblings, our parents, etc. Parents really have to sacrifice a lot to ensure that one affords decent education. And like I said, in this case, it doesn't matter your background, but what is important is to use the limited resources which are available to educate these children, so that at the end of the day, they could be able to afford, like I said, the basic education. Then maybe from the basic education, if one keeps on advancing, etc., you can reap on the fruits of education. Well, as I try to conclude on this very point, well, I don't want to talk about what I've gotten in terms of maybe the tangible things from education. My interest is all about inspiring that person in a rural area, that person, that child who's walking on foot every day, that child who is using a banana leaf to protect his head maybe from the rain, that person who is walking on foot, to try and encourage these people that it's not the end of the road. No matter the struggle, at some point, if you continue focused and in line with education, you will always achieve something. I hope I have answered your question well. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you very much for that comprehensive answer, for that comprehensive and inspiring story, which to me, I do as well identify myself in that story. But what is important and learned from your story is that with education, you can achieve whatever you want. And there are people who don't take education seriously. There are people who believe that there's no need to get education because everything will be given to them for free. But here we see someone has gone on to struggle, right from being, as you say in your upcoming book as a co-author, from village boy to university lecturer. That is a big journey. That's a dream come true. And that is inspiring. That's life-changing for our viewers who might have not yet seen it from that perspective. In other words, education is a passport to your dreams.
Yeah, definitely.
So looking at some of the challenges that we get, for example, those children you're describing walking to school, they don't have an umbrella and they're using a banana leaf to protect themselves from the sun or from the rain.
Right. Yes.
How can they, if the parents are poor or they can't afford, how do they make, how can they make a breakthrough to be able to get good education, to be able to get to university, and to be able to get a job? How can they make it in Uganda at this time?
Well, thank you so much. Well, that is rather a simple and at the same time a complicated question to answer. But well, from my story, like I said, I believe in three things: determination, passion, and courage to excel. So to me, I think when I'm more challenged, then it puts me even in a better position to do better. Because, without challenges, then definitely you'll be in your comfort zone. There won't be anything to stimulate you to do something. But maybe what I can tell whoever is watching out there, I know parents, my fellow parents here, and I'm also a parent. What is important is let us give the children the basic education that we can afford as parents. And when you go and try to find out, you'll even find out that children who even come from more challenged background, at the end of the day, have a story to tell, or they will always excel, because it has not always been easy. And you know, in Africa, majorly we try to maybe to tell our stories. We don't maybe tell on so much we have achieved, but we try maybe tell about our challenges, our problems, etc. So basically, like I said, I think what is important is for these children to remain focused, is for these children to remain determined, and keep up with the passion or spirit of searching for more and more education. And maybe also what is important is to always keep our minds open to opportunities, to be vigilant. We have to keep our minds open and to be vigilant. And well, Dr. Patrick, maybe gone are the days, because right now, at least quite a number of Ugandans and Africans can access internet services or computer services. Some schools, they're actually teaching computer lessons, etc. So it is even much more simpler for some of these children or pupils to access better education. And well, I wouldn't talk much about the universal primary education, which we have in Uganda, but still, when the universal primary education was introduced in Uganda, that is way back in 1997. Actually, it formed when it was in P5 by then, so I benefited from it for 2 years. And well, I can say the education may not be the best in these universal, or what we can call free education schools. It may not be the best, but at least, like I'm saying, we can use what is available. We can use what is available rather than not using what is available, and maybe we think it may not help, or maybe we think it is not good enough. So whatever the situation, what is important is use what is available, what a parent can afford, at least to give the children minimum education. Because, you know, at the end of the day, I happen to come from a village where we have a primary teachers college. So if a parent struggled and pushed their child through primary, through O level, definitely at some point this can join college if they have somehow excelled, and they could work as grade 3 teachers. So eventually they have a chance to go to the university. They can always upgrade. I paid for myself my master's education. So what is important is to give the basics, or to give a foundation, then someone can always start from there. Thank you.
Thank you much for that great answer, Mr. Taddeo. And that reminded was, as I was listening to you, I was just reminded to one of the things that Steve Jobs is a founder or co-founder of Apple. And he said the only way to do great work is to love what you do. And if you haven't found it yet, then keep searching. So once those children discover what they love, then that's enough to push them through all the challenges of life. That's enough to give them the courage to be able to achieve and live their dreams. Because I do remember, like, I loved education, I loved going to school, and some of the times our parents couldn't afford the school fees, but I did a lot of photography as my side job, taking photographs and being able to raise money that way, but as well during the holidays, working for other people, be it slashing their compounds or working at the church, in the church farm, and so on. But like that way, was able to raise the school fees. And again, now I think it's easier in Uganda for people to get education, for people to get what they want, for people to live their dreams because of the new technologies. Growing up, do remember in my secondary school. It was one of the best in the country, in the region. And studying history, European history, we only had one textbook. Only one textbook. Okay, so you have to wake up early, the teacher will come early, start writing the notes. You miss them, that board will be gone. But now you can do the photocopying. But now you can access the same textbook on the internet. By now, and now this moment in time, you can watch videos of people talking about that textbook. We do have those opportunities. So there is much potential in Uganda. There is much opportunity in different African countries where children, parents, carers, and everyone can tap into and through education achieve their dreams as you do.
Yeah, definitely.
What are the kind of things that you do now to help other people, support people as well through education, get the best out of life? You talked about the charity. What else do you help people with so that they can be able to get in touch with you?
Thank you so much. Well, I'm so passionate about education, and maybe one other thing that I do as a university lecturer is to encourage my students always to be very keen, be very vigilant, to look up for each and every opportunity which they can embrace and try to be better. So the other thing, well, I'm living as an example because I teach tourism at the university and I practice tourism. So I always tell these students, it is important for you, if you really love something and you're studying it, at the end of the day, then you have to follow your passion. So the university education basically will not prepare you to get a job. It may prepare you to have the knowledge and skills to create your own job, contrary to the popular belief whereby they say universities are turning out graduates are not finding jobs. So I think we need to move away from that thinking whereby, you are coming to a university to get knowledge, but how do you put this knowledge to use? Because, for example, well, let me talk about tourism, how we try to encourage these students. I tell them, you are here at the university, someone is paying your school fees, maybe your parent, your guardian, etc. You are getting the knowledge about tourism, how to guide visitors, etc. You will not need actually a lot of capital, because if you don't have a vehicle, you will hire the vehicle. What is important is networking in life. So I encourage students to network so much, because if you network and get these visitors and visitors trust you with their money, then definitely all you need is your knowledge, because you will use their money. They have given you, pay for them the hotel, to hire for them the vehicle, maybe to get a guide or to get them yourself, etc. So basically, I find tourism as a very important tool, whereby if one embraces very well the knowledge they have gotten, they could be better. Then, well, apart from that, like I told you, our education system in Uganda, sometimes we are supported by people who are surrounding us. When I got an opportunity to serve as a university lecturer, actually I was introduced to university teaching by the late Professor Eric Droma, and he would always encourage me, whenever you get an opportunity, it be a conference, a workshop, whatever etc., try to sell yourself. So it goes back to networking. Well, apart from that, well, I've also been able maybe to help one or two siblings from my very own money, maybe to educate them and to ensure that they get a better living. But the best I can say, which I have given maybe to the world in terms of education, is to train these students on on issues of environmental conservation. Then I have been able to do this for the last 8 years, and I have always encouraged them to be vigilant, to be passionate, and to really try and put the knowledge that they get into practice. So the job will not just come and find you seated at home. You have to look for these opportunities, and now there is internet. I can say internet is almost everywhere. Students can access internet, especially at most universities. So what is important is, how do you make best use of this internet? Are you looking for opportunities? Are you looking for placements? So what is important is to really to make use of the few resources which are surrounding us to make ourselves better. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Thank you for the support as well you offer the people to better their conditions to access education. And what else is are you saying in a way that your life is an example that with education is possible. Your life is an example, not an exception, that if you are passionate, you will achieve what you want. If you are determined, you live your dreams. That's the determination, the courage, the passion to continue despite the challenges that might come your way. And that's really a very important message that people need to get out there, those children in different countries in Uganda, I think actually across the world, that the focus, the determination is important to be successful in life. And so now, how can we get in touch with you if you want to know more about you and your work? Oh, yes, I seem to have lost Mr. Taddeo Rusoke. Thank you very much for joining us. In case you have joined us, I've been talking to Mr. Taddeo Rusoke, a university lecturer in Uganda, and he's been sharing his story on how education has changed his life, right from being a village boy to a university lecturer working in one of the best universities in Uganda, Nkumba University. So thank you very much for joining us this evening, and I wish you all the best. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to contact Taddeo Rusoke, and he'll be able to help you with those questions, especially if you are thinking of going to do a bit of tourism in Uganda. If you're interested as well, he has charities, orphanages that he supports in Uganda that you can support. And if you're interested in offering any form of support, could be offering your time, could be offering some of the resources, books, pens, pencils, clothing, it could be offering food, or just benefits offering them prayer and keeping them in your thoughts. Feel free to get in touch. Thank you very much. It's been Dr. Patrick Singh, a best-selling author and founder of Greatness University. Thank you.